world, you're talking about your politics, you're talking about your ideas, you're talking about your history, and then boom, rug gets pulled out underneath you as far as monetization goes. What is it, up to 98% now, I think I heard you say recently? Basically, you can show a picture of your cat, and that's about it. So how's that going at the moment?
Well, when it comes to the YouTube channel, first of all, YouTube stopped the monetization of about 95% of our videos, and it's saying it's not suitable for all advertisers. Now, we've been in good standard with YouTube for the past 2 years.
Right.
Never had any issues. All of a sudden, like you said, they pulled the rug out from up under us. So we see this clearly as censorship, okay? You know, here we are, 2 Black women, 2 African-American women who support the president, who's conservative, who's Republican, and all of a sudden now you have a problem with the way we speak. Not only that, not only did they pull the monetization from it,
right,
they also thumbed down the video where people can't find it. They won't recommend the video. And even if your subscriber is looking for it, it'll be hard for them to find it for no reason. I guess what we're saying is too controversial. They deem it as extremist, and that's not fair to us. We see that as discrimination. We see that as bias and prejudice, and it has to stop.
Well, you guys represent views that got a president elected. What is it, 60 million Americans? How on earth can this be considered fringe in any sane universe?
Well, we see the biasness of it. Listen, these people are trying to control the narrative, trying to control what is being said here in our country, and it's unfair.
That's right.
Social media is a platform where people can share creative ideas.
That's right.
YouTube is a social media site. Not only that, YouTube may have given us the platform, but we built that 1 subscriber at a time.
That's right.
We've had over 16 million views on that YouTube channel, and you telling us no advertisers. All advertisers are liberal, and none want to advertise around Diamond and Silk, where we beg to differ. It is not YouTube's responsibility to make a decision for their advertisers.
That's right.
It's up to the advertisers to make their decisions based on demographics and what's good and best for their brand and their company.
Exactly.
And I dare say, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that I genuinely believe that Trump supporters are much more likely to have a job, income, spending habits. They like to go to the mall. They like to buy things. So as far as demographics that advertisers want to advertise on, it seems to me that you guys' audience would be pretty much up there.
Absolutely. We're consumers. The people that view our channel are consumers, and they buy things too.
That's right.
If they advertise in toilet paper, we all need toilet paper.
Exactly.
So what I'm saying is that this can't be one-sided. You cannot cut off a conservative point of view. We have a conservative point of view.
That's
we
right.
support the president. We support his agenda, and they can't cut us off.
And
like
whenever
that.
we did sign up for YouTube and we signed the terms of services, it did not ask if we was conservative or liberal, and that if you're conservative, you can only voice your opinion in a particular manner. Another good thing with YouTube that we saw is that it has what's called a block button. If you don't want to hear what Diamond and Silk has to say, if you don't want our videos streaming along your stream, guess what? You could just block us. You don't have to hear what we have to say. I mean, it's just that clever. But for them to come to our platform and deem it as some type of hate speech or associated with violent extremists is wrong, and it's discriminatory.
That's right.
People don't know. I mean, I remember watching a Dr. Phil episode some years ago, and Dr. Phil's mom said, well, you're only on an hour a day. What do you do with the rest of your day? And people don't understand just how much time and effort and research and takes and technical equipment and microphones. And I mean, it's crazy how much effort it takes. And of course, this is you guys I know started out as Democrats. This is considered rational thought over the entire course of your lives. And people just see the tip of the iceberg in terms of the YouTube channel. And who wants to put that much time and effort into developing a whole channel if, wham, you can just get it yanked? That's not what people signed up for.
Absolutely.
Right.
And see, this is what I want people to understand. This is America.
Yeah.
We're trying to obtain the American dream. But then you have Democrats, liberals, these elites, okay, that pulls the plug right from up under you. And this is the problem that happens here in the United States.
Yeah.
Once you get here, well, I don't like this, you got somebody now trying to knock you back down. And this is why we have this here bickering back and forth. And it has to stop, and it needs to stop on all sides.
That's right.
It has to stop.
Well, there's stuff online, there's stuff on YouTube, there's people's political opinions. Like, I'd rather get between a mama grizzly and her bear than between my chair and that screen to see what those people have to say. But I would never in a million years think, oh, I got to make phone calls. I got to try and get them shut down. I got to try and get them demonetized. Because I just want to engage in a conversation, even with people I find abhorrent and horrible and, so far wrong they couldn't even know where right is if you lit it up with a flashlight. So this idea that they're not, the left or whatever, they're not going to engage with us, they're just going to try and shut us down if that is indeed what's happening, is incomprehensible to me. But if that's what works, my concern is that's what more and more people are going to start to do.
Well, I'm hoping that people will listen to what we're saying.
Right.
Go to our website, diamondandsilk.com, and sign our petition. We want to send, it's time to send YouTube, which is owned by Google now, a message that this will not be tolerated.
That's right.
We want them to remonetize our platform and leave us alone and leave other conservative voices alone.
That's right.
You put this here social media platform together for people to come and join. You didn't tell us that we had to be just liberal. It can be, we are expressing different views.
That's right.
And they should just leave us alone is what they should do.
And that's part of diversity. I mean, that's what we have here in this country. We have to learn how to agree to disagree when we have a disagreement. We have a difference of opinion, but that makes us diverse whenever that happens. And a special shout out and thank you to everybody that have contributed monetary gifts to Diamond and Silk through PayPal at diamondandsilk@gmail.com. Thank you so very much. We appreciate it because they're basically saying that if YouTube will not monetize you all, we will, because we love your voices. We love the education that you're giving to us, and they want to continue to hear us speak. We're not hurting anybody. We're not going over to anybody else's site and saying anything to them. You have to come to us to hear what we have to say.
Right.
So what's so wrong about that?
Well, and your voices, I think the voices of conservatives are especially needed now after what happened in Charlottesville and what's going on with this erasing the history and erasing the fact that all these statues were put up by Democrats of Democrats. And because you guys have a special knowledge of the history of this, I wonder if you could help people understand what is going on with this statue tear down. What is the history that is trying to be really obscured?
Well, I think that the Democrats is trying to erase they're trying to erase their history of racism, of hatred, and of bigotry.
And slavery. That's right.
As you know, our ancestors were enslaved by the Democratic Party that didn't want slavery to end and that wanted to continue it. And because they couldn't continue it, that's how they started the KKK. So I believe that what they're trying to do is erase history. Now, here's the bad thing about this here. You take down those statues, then what? The ones that keep pushing to take down statues, what have you done to help an African American? How is this going to help an African American? Cory Booker in the Senate, is he in the Senate, Congress, wherever he's at? He's talking about taking down a statue, but how did you help somebody up? You're talking about taking down a statue. What about helping another African American up? So you see what I'm saying? So I want to just explain this here. White people, they climb the corporate ladder, they're doing good. Asian people, they're climbing the corporate ladder, they're doing good. Spanish, Mexican people, they're doing the same thing, climbing the corporate ladder, they're doing good. But African Americans is always stuck. We sitting up here fighting over statues. And people, it's time for Black people to come up.
That's right.
But other Black leaders would prefer us to fight over a statue instead of pushing legislation where other African Americans are also rising to the top, where they're becoming entrepreneurs, where they're able to feed their family. I think the whole thing is biased and it's ignorant. And I think it's time for African Americans to start looking at these African American leaders.
That's right.
The ones that keep you stuck.
Yes.
The ones that keep you stuck with this ideology. The ones that keep you stuck on the Democratic plantation.
Yeah.
They still handing you crumbs.
That's right.
Because they got Black people focusing on a statue that ain't done nothing for nobody, ain't done nothing to nobody. Listen, the statue been up for 110 years, and most African Americans didn't even know what they was. They didn't even know the names of these statues, and that is the truth. And what really irritates me, you got somebody like Al Sharpton talking about he's offended. Well, you've been fighting the civil rights movement for how long? And all of a sudden, all of these years later, you now offended by it? See, this is all bias, and this is all a way to suppress Black people. And it is time for Black people to stop looking at these Black leaders and make a conscious decision for yourself. you're going to have to make a decision to get off that Democratic plantation.
That's right.
You're going to have to walk off of that because they were the party of slavery.
Yes.
They wanted to keep slaves, and you still voting for someone that had our ancestors enslaved. And you're going to have to stop. Get off the Democratic plantation. Stop voting for them.
Well, this is the thing. Like, I put out a tweet saying, like in certain inner cities, we got an illegitimacy rate approaching 80%. And the big problem there is not a statue thousands of miles away that has been up for more than a century. That is not. And you think of the people getting shot, there are kids getting shot in Chicago and other places, and they're not sitting there saying, well, I'm bleeding out on the floor, but at least somebody's dealing with that statue in Alabama. This is not where the issues are.
It is not. I'm telling you, I just wish. It is so hard for me to really just get the African-American community to see how we're being played once again.
Yep.
This narrative, this racism narrative, is the narrative that Black folks keep using year after year after year. Now, hold up. We just had 8 years with a Black president.
Right.
Y'all wasn't concerned about those statues then?
No,
if those statues were so offensive, why didn't somebody complain then?
Right.
You see what I'm talking about? Once again, Black people are being played, they're being hoodwinked, they're being bamboozled by other Black people that's supposed to represent all Black people.
Right.
But they don't represent me because I done got off of that Democratic plantation. We can think for ourselves. We know who the party of slavery was. It was the Democratic Party, baby. They kept our ancestors enslaved. They whooped them. They beat them. They hung them. And I will not vote for a party that done that. And if they gonna get rid of the statues, then how about the Democratic Party stop celebrating slave owners when they have these here dinners, the Jefferson Jackson dinners? Why do you go and you celebrate them then? If you so mad about the statues, if you got to now call out slave owners, then why are you still having parties and stuff celebrating them too as well? See, it's a double standard with what they're saying. They're contradicting. They're hypocrites is what they are.
And stop allowing them to keep you stuck in the pains of your ancestors.
That's right.
Every year they turn around and they play roots, and that's to keep you stuck in the pains of your ancestors, so you can feel like you was a slave, a person that was enslaved, and you know good and well you've never picked no cotton a day in your life.
We ain't never been enslaved. But one thing that I want to make a point, we taking over the whole show. Wait a minute, let me just make this here one point.
I shouldn't be laughing. I know I shouldn't be laughing, but it's enjoyable the way you're putting it.
See, they arguing about these statues, you all. These statues been up for over 110 years.
Right.
Okay? Over 110 years. These statues, listen, when I look at them, I see, oh, we won. I look at them, whoa, we won. We won this here because we're not enslaved no more. My ancestors fought that battle so that we didn't have to be enslaved anymore. So I'm not offended by a statue, but what I am offended by is Black leaders sitting up here fighting a fight over a statue, but then they want to go against us getting a tax cut. That doesn't make any sense. You're fighting over a statue that cannot feed me, that cannot clothe me, but then here the president want to give us tax cuts, but now you want to kick against that. Do you know who's our own worst enemy? These so-called Black leaders that's supposed to represent Black people. And it's time for Black people to start thinking for themselves. We don't need a head. You have your own head. Use it.
My Irish ancestors were enslaved by the Muslims, and I can sit and stare at that forever, or I can listen to the graves and say they move on with your life and enjoy the freedoms that we ended up sacrificing ourselves to achieve for you, rather than staring at this historical void of injustice and losing your own future. And the other thing, too, it's very clear to me, at least, that one of the great things to be done to help the poor communities, the Black communities, put up that wall. You put up that wall, you stop the illegal immigrants pouring in, you stop the immigrants, reduce immigration because it's the low-skilled immigrants who are coming in, hurting the poor, most of all, driving down their wages, outcompeting them for jobs. And it's not the statue that's keeping poor people poor.
But let me just say this here. The reason why the Democrats don't want to stop immigration and want people to cross our borders and come in here is because they're now making them the new slaves.
The new slaves.
They want to work them for underwage. They want them to be up under the table.
That's right.
The Democratic Party has a problem. They embrace people coming over here and you getting paid up under the table and it's pennies. They want those people now as the new slaves and they don't even realize it. They want them in the shadows. instead of being out in the shadows and just becoming American so we all can be making a decent wage. See, that's what they want. That's their MO.
Yeah.
But it's time for people to call the Democratic Party out. And if they gonna have a debate about these statues, then let's go ahead and tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the naked truth. Let's tell how it started. Yeah. Let's tell how it all went down. Everybody needs to see the Democratic Party for who they are. They are the racist, bigot, and hatred party of all time.
Exactly.
What do you guys think happened under Obama? Because it seems like race relations are really not doing very well in America. I read a study recently said that whites feel like anti-white racism is on the rise. Even blacks feel that anti-white racism is on the rise. And this tension, this friction, what do you guys think that he put in place, or what actions do you think he took, or what happened under his administration that really helped fan these terrible flames?
Well, you know what? When you had people marching in the streets, burning down communities, by now denouncing that and condemning that created more of that. When your leader don't come out and say, hey, whoa, you ain't going to be burning down your communities, you're wrong. You're wrong for wanting to say pigs in a blanket farm like bacon. See, when your leader don't come out and address that, it gets bigger. So now we have a new leader that don't mind calling it hate as he see it.
That's right.
Hate is hate, and I don't care how you spew it.
That's right.
I don't care if you're a KK member, a neo-Nazi, or you part of Antifa. Hate is hate, and it has to be called out.
That's right.
Unfortunately, Obama, he didn't do a whole lot.
No.
He kept a very silent tone when it comes to hate being spewed in this country. And that's why you see it amplified.
That's right.
Thank God for the President Trump. He is trying to calm this stuff down and say hate on either side will not be tolerated. It will not be
tolerated.
You know, it's a funny thing, too, because I feel sometimes I sort of wake up in the morning and check the news. I feel like I'm in this sort of weird science fiction movie Twilight Zone thing, because when you see people throwing urine at each other, I mean, when your level of debate has descended to something that a bonobo would find offensive, I just find it completely strange. I feel I'm looking more at a human zoo than a place where rational discourse is supposed to be happening. And the fact that this isn't terrifying everyone, where the level of debate has gone to, that they're stabbing horses with sticks, that they're hitting people with bricks, that they're throwing pee at people. What is it going to take for people to say, you know, put down the weapons, stand back, use your words, people? That's kind of what makes us human.
Well, you know what? I looked at the mainstream media the other day and how they were actually glorifying Antifa as if this is a good group. We already have law and order in this country.
That's right.
We have the Constitution. We don't need Antifa giving us a new law. Antifa, that group needs to be denounced and condemned.
That's right.
And it needs to be deemed a terrorist group.
Yeah.
Because if anytime you go and you hit somebody with a stick and you throw pee on them and do all kinds of derogatory things,
right.
You ain't no better than the KKK. You just like them.
That's right.
One wear a white mask and you wear a black one.
That's right.
And that stuff we have to denounce and condemn all hate.
And you can't bring hate to stop hate.
Can't do it.
And it's not fair to take and march against somebody's freedom of speech.
That's right.
Because whenever you're doing that, it's going to come back on you. You may not pay what you owe, but you will reap what you sow. And when they come back on you and they want to take down the Martin Luther King monuments, the Martin Luther King statues, they want to take and go into your churches and stop you from preaching what you're free to
Or
preach.
just take down the churches. And remember, Martin Luther King didn't believe in gay marriage. So what's going to happen one day when somebody say, you know what? I want to take down that Martin Luther King statue because he didn't believe in gay marriage. I think we're walking a slippery slope.
That's right.
I think the things that's going on in our country and the left-wing media glorifying it, I think we're walking a slippery slope.
Exactly.
We're not going to know our country when it's over with. And it's going to affect everybody. And they should stop sensationalize these stories to try to get a reaction. We are united as a country. When I went to the grocery store, white people wasn't mad at me. I wasn't mad at them. We were getting along. Somebody even handed me some fruit. Girl, you need to try this here. So the stuff that the mainstream media is trying to perpetrate, you all, we have to look at the bigger picture. We have to see that, wait a minute, we are united.
That's right.
A lot of this stuff is being done because the media they're looking for ratings.
Yes.
The fake news media, their ratings are tanking. So anything to keep those ratings up. But if you gonna have a conversation about statues in this country, we gonna tell the naked truth because it all ties back to the Democratic Party.
And keep in mind that we are the Americans. We are the United States, not the divided states, and we're one race, and that is the human race. And this is not going to stop until we realize that we are not a color. We are an American first.
Well, of course, these statues were put up after the Civil War as a symbol of unity and forgiveness. And so the fact that they're being torn down by a group that is aiming to sow division and hostility to me is not accidental. And the other thing I find frustrating, of course, you guys know the old saying, why are you so focused on the little bit of dust in your neighbor's eye when you don't notice the big giant piece of wood in your own eye? Have we run out of injustice to fight in the present that we got to time travel back a century or so to find bad people to get mad at? I mean, I still think there's quite a heap of injustice and evil going on in the present that we don't need to time travel and start finger wagging and nagging people in the past who are long dead.
I agree with you.
Yes.
But every so many years, it seemed like this issue with race keep coming up. There is a wound that keeps opening up. So it's time to open it up and dig out everything.
Get to the core.
And get to the core of what's going on. If it's about slavery, let's talk about it.
Right.
Let's talk about how the Democrats wanted to keep it and didn't want it to end. Let's talk about it. They don't want to tell their nasty.
That's right.
They want to cherry pick and tell half truths.
Right.
We can no longer tell another half truth. Let's tell the whole truth about slavery so we can end this and African Americans can start coming up and we can move on. That's what needs to happen.
I can't think of a better ending statement. I want to remind people, please check out diamondandsilk.com. And I work on the donation model, and I strongly urge people, if you love these ladies' work, then help them out. It's funny because people don't understand as well. When you start making some money from YouTube, you change your life. You change your focus. You change your perspective. You start relying on that income. And when it goes away, it's not like you just were the way you were before. So please go and help them out at diamondandsilk.com. And you can also check out, of course,